Here are some mobility exercises for soccer players to do. The first stretch that we're going to do is we're going to stretch out our calves. You've probably seen this or done this exercise many times before. I just have my foot elevated at about a 45-degree angle, and you could see with that other leg that's flat on the ground, I'm bending it a little bit, leaning forward just to get a good stretch in my calf there. I'm going to hold each side for about 30 seconds. Feel free to pause me and hold this longer. Probably starting at about a minute is going to be a good starting point for you. Keep in mind when you go through these stretches to be mindful of it, to feel what you're stretching, to ease into the stretch. Don't start out at a point where it's painful. You want to ease into it. Every exhale, try to get a little bit deeper and deeper into the stretch. For the next stretch, now that we stretched our calves, we're going to do a really great ankle mobility exercise. So you can see I have one foot elevated on a surface, and what I'm doing is I'm taking my knee and I'm actually pushing it forward way past my toe as far as it could go. I'm keeping my knee in line with my big toe or my second toe. I'm not letting it go out further or in further than that. And I'm even using my shoulder to push forward on my knee. I know you hear often, don't let your knees go over your toes, but we're working on ankle mobility here. So this exercise is really going to help increase that ankle mobility. Soccer players, any sport that involves a lot of running, usually has very tight calves and stiff ankles. So we really want to work on ankle mobility. If you're following along with this video, we just did one side for about a minute. Feel free to pause me if you want to go longer, but we're going to switch to the other side and we're going to hold about 1 minute on this side as well. So that was about a minute, a little bit under. We're going to get ready and go to our next exercise, which again is a really great exercise for ankle mobility. This is one of my favorite stretches, mobility exercises to do ever. You could see I'm just going to hold a squat. If you have really tight calves or not great ankle mobility, you won't be able to do this. That's okay. You can hang on to the side of a goalpost or something and try and hold this position for at least 10 seconds and try and do 3 sets of that and then get a little bit longer each time you do this exercise. When you get comfortable in this position without holding on to anything, you can see I'm starting to use my arms to push my knees and my hips out just to get a little bit of a deeper stretch. And you want to make sure when you do this, your heels do not come off the ground, so your feet are going to remain flat. Okay, so now our next exercise, we're going to get into the 90-90 stretch. Again, you've probably done this one a whole bunch of times before, but let's just make sure that we're mindful when we're going through all of these stretches. So for the 90-90 stretch, again, we are not going to start in a painful position. We're going to hold this stretch for at least a minute, and every time we exhale, we're going to get a little bit deeper into the stretch. Try and keep your shin and your chest as parallel as possible. Also, with my leg that's in front, I'm actually taking that knee and pushing it into the ground for an even further stretch. If you're following along with me, that's been about a minute. So we are about to get ready to switch sides and do the same exact thing on the other side. Again, remember to be mindful. Every exhale, get a little bit deeper into the stretch. You're going to keep your chest and your shin as parallel as possible for this one and dig that front knee into the ground. We're going to stay here for about a minute. That was about a minute. Feel free to pause longer if you want to hold longer. But for now, we're going to get into this quad hamstring stretch that I really, really like. If you can't have your quad in this position that mine is in, that's okay. You can just flip it around so that your ankle's in front of your groin rather than behind it. But what's important with this stretch is that my other leg, my leg that's straight out, my toes are pointing towards my face. And again, I'm going to keep my back straight and just slowly lean forward, getting deeper into the stretch each exhale. We're at about 1 minute of this stretch. Let's hold it just a little bit longer. So take a few more deep breaths. Get a little bit deeper on the exhale. Good. And now we're going to get ready to switch sides. So let's hold this side for another 90 seconds because that's about what we held the other side for. If you're following along, that was only about a minute. So if you want to go another 30 seconds, please feel free to. If not, we're going to get into our next stretch. The lizard stretch, another one of my favorites. So this one, you can start in a high plank, and you are just going to take one leg, bring it all the way up so my knee is by my elbow. You can relax that knee, that foot's in the back, and we are going to stretch out our hips on this one. I'm going to hold this position for about a minute, getting a little bit deeper each exhale. Feel free to do it with me. Feel free to pause it when we get to a minute and do it longer if you need, but please try and go for at least a minute here. As the minute comes to a close, before we switch sides, we're just gonna go into a nice hamstring stretch here. We're gonna hold this for about a minute, but you could see I'm gonna rock back and forth a few times because this stretch could get really, really intense. So when I feel it getting intense, I'm just gonna relax, rock my body forward a little bit as I am here, and go back and forth as comfortable. For some bonus points, you can see what I'm doing here. I'm keeping that knee on the ground, taking the same leg we've been stretching and just keeping it out wide to the side, getting a little bit deeper hip stretch here. Feel free to pause me and hold this for a little bit longer if you would like. Now I'm gonna switch legs and go back into the lizard stretch we were in. We're gonna be here for about a minute. Feel free to do some chest openers here if they feel comfortable like I'm doing. No need to though. All right, let's bring this leg back to our hamstring stretch. Again, this stretch could get really intense, so if you need to, feel free to rock forward to release it every once in a while. And again, if you want, for some added hip stretch, feel free to take that leg, bring it out to the side, and you could hold this for as long as you would like. All right, so to wrap up here, I'm just gonna do a few cat cows. My belly is going down to the floor, I'm exhaling, and on the inhale, my belly is going up towards the ceiling, my belly button. I'm gonna take it down into child's pose. And then from here, I'm gonna do another one of my favorite stretches. I know they're really all my favorite stretch. Stretching is really so good for you. Once you get into the habit, you actually start to feel like what I can only describe as buttery, but you'll be more agile and you'll just feel better. Your body will feel so much better. So this 3 ways child pose is one of my favorites. You can see I was in a child's pose and then I just walked my hands to one side. I feel a really nice stretch on my side over there. We're going to hang out on this side for about 10 more seconds. Now I'm going to walk my hands all the way to the other side and feel that same stretch on my other side. I'm going to hold over here for about another 45 seconds. Take your last big breath in this position, and then come on out of it and feel free to move your body however you feel like it needs right now. Thank you so much for taking the time to take care of your body and do this mobility with me today. This is not a one and done thing, so please use this video as often as you would like. Work hard and be kind.